Just like a stone is a part of the earth, and if you throw it up, the earth pulls it by the force of gravitation. So the ocean of bliss is pulling his little part, and what we are experiencing is the yearning for happiness. In discussing the afflictions of the mind, we came to the topic of contemplation and understood the impact it has when we repeatedly do the chintan of happiness somewhere. Our own repetition of thoughts leads to our mind becoming asakt, attached. And asakti leads to kamana, which results in krodh and lobh. So the starting point then is our own contemplation of happiness. If we don't contemplate happiness anywhere, we will be free from all attachment. Why then does this chintan begin in us of pleasure in something? That is our soul nature. Our soul is a part of the Supreme Soul, which is God. And God is an ocean of infinite bliss. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. Know that Supreme Almighty to be bliss Himself. Ananda evadastat anando parishtat ananda parastat ananda paschat anando tarata anando dakshinatah ananda eve dagvam sarvam. The Chandogyopanishad states that Supreme Personality who has got bliss inside him, bliss outside him, bliss to the left, bliss to the right, bliss below, bliss above. That ocean of bliss is God. Sat Chit Anand, as everybody knows. So, as His little parts, we are naturally drawn to bliss. Just like a stone is a part of the earth, and if you throw it up, the earth pulls it by the force of gravitation. So, the ocean of bliss is pulling his little part. And what we are experiencing is the yearning for happiness. That yearning for happiness is an aspect of our soul. It cannot be erased even by God, or by Maya, or by Kal, or by Karma. Like you cannot take away heat from the fire. And hence, based on our past sanskars or the association we get in this life, somewhere or the other we start this chintan. I will get happiness from there. And once the contemplation begins, it results in asakti. And from asakti, it is unavoidable that desires will arise. When desires come, it is inevitable. On their fulfillment, there will be craving or greed, and unfulfillment will lead to anger. Nobody can change their intrinsic nature. To seek happiness is an aspect of our very being. And given that situation, how then can we avoid contemplation of happiness? It is not as easy as people make it out to be. Give up anger. Give up anger? Is anger some kind of a garland that I take it out and give it up? Here it is. How do I give it up? Tell me. It's like the Western philosopher William James. He said there are two things. One is your desire and one is what you get. Now, if there is a gap between your desire and what you get, That is going to cause misery. So reduce your desires and finish them. There will now be no discontent. Very nice, Mr. William James, but how do we give up desire? That I don't know. If you give up desire, your problems will be solved. So the Vedas inform us it is impossible. Your basic aspiration is for happiness, and it is unavoidable that based on your sanskars or your sang, somewhere or the other this contemplation will begin, that I can get pleasure from there. What then is the solution? Vishayan dhyayataschittam vishayeshu vishajyate mamanusmarataschittam mayyeva pravriliyate. Vedavyas has written 400,000 verses in the 18 Puranas. But in my opinion, in this one verse, he has written the whole spiritual sadhana. He says, look, Vishayan dhyayataschittam vishayeshu vishajyate. You repeatedly contemplated happiness in the objects of the senses and you became attached to them. Now, contemplate happiness in Shyam Sundar. When you revise this thought that the happiness ocean of bliss is God, the same Chintan power will result in your mind becoming attached to God. So, what is going to happen? The object of attachment now is pure. That attachment will not soil the mind. It will only purify it. Ya anuragi chitta ki gati samjhe nahi koya ja ja dube sham rang tya tya ujjwal hoya. Very few people realize that the more your mind becomes attached to God, the purer it becomes. So the solution for conquering the mind then is to dovetail it in the direction of God. I always say that even one such gem of divine wisdom, if fully utilized, has the power to completely transform our life. In this recently published book, The Science of Mind Management, you will find a treasure chest of such divine wisdom. Let me give you one of a million such practical examples. This is the story of a Telugu saint called Varadaraj. He was a good poet in his youth. And because he would travel to different places, he reached a temple region where there were Devadasis. Now, in those days gone by, Devadasis were highly respected in the social order. They were women who had married the deity and consecrated their lives to the service of the deity. And they would maintain celibacy lifelong. Now, there was one such Devadasi called Mohanangi. Varadaraj fell in love with Mohanangi. He was completely infatuated with her and would think of her day and night. Mohanangi said, "What is it that enchants you so much towards me?" He said, "I am a connoisseur of beauty and I find such remarkable beauty in you." So that Devadasi Mohanangi said, "If I show you something even more beautiful than myself, will you be attracted to it?" Varadaraj said, "Of course." She took him to the temple of Lord Vishnu. And when Varadaraj had darshan, he was completely enamored, bowled over. The Lord too, seeing his past life sanskars, gave him a darshan of his divine beauty. And from then onwards, Varadaraj became a devotee of Lord Vishnu and Krishna, and the deity got on the name Varadaraj Swami. And this Varadaraj became a poet renowned in history for the padams that he wrote called Muva Gopal Padams, which are full of devotional rasa of Lord Krishna. Now here was somebody who was craving for worldly things, and he dovetailed them towards God. That is why Swami Vivekananda said, devotion is love for the highest, and the lowest shall fall away by itself. How will you conquer the baser instincts? By loving the highest. Now, when we develop attachment to God, attachment leads to desire, and an obvious question arises here, that desire results in anger and in greed. So will this anger and greed, the mental afflictions, not continue to persist when we are in devotion? They will, but they will also get sublimated. What will be the greed? Sita Rama Charana Rati More Anudena Badahi Anugraha Tore. Now the greed is, I want more love. I want more devotion. This divine craving is not binding, it is liberating, it is elevating. We want even more and yet more. So the spiritual desire led to spiritual greed. He Deva, he Daita, he Bhuvanaika Bandho, he Krishna, he Chapala, he Karunaika Sindho, he Natha, he Ramana, he Nayanabhirama, ha ha Kadanubhavita Sipadam Drishur me. Oh Lord, when will I see your beautiful divine form? And as we understood, when desire is obstructed, it results in anger. The same will happen in spirituality. Ha Raghunandana prana pirite, tuma binu jiyat bahut din bite. Oh, my mind, so many days have gone by and still I am bereft of love. How terrible of you! I need to work harder to subdue you and reach my Supreme Beloved. This kind of anger now works to our benefit. So we have dovetailed greed and anger and made them our friends. In the same way, we can make the ego our friend as well. Asa abhiman jai jani bhore, main sevak raghupati pati more. Hanuman says, may this pride never go, that I am the servant of such a master, and my Lord is Sri Raghunath. The pride in the master and in our opportunity to serve him. That kind of pride only strengthens our faith on this path. So in this way, if we can start contemplating that to seek happiness is not wrong, only the direction is wrong, and then we contemplate happiness in the proper place, our problem will be solved. Hence Lord Krishna says, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. These senses are so obdurate. When you fast, the senses become weak. But again when you eat, they raise their head. Yet param drishtva, when you make them experience the higher rasa of God, they come under control. So how then do we make our senses experience the higher rasa? We will discuss this in the next episode.